Welcome, everybody, to the IDK WTF I'm doing podcast. I am David B.
Anastasia Button. You should know us by now.
Shouldn't you?
Shouldn't you?
Shouldn't you? We are talking about vices.
Which means
today.
what? Because I had to ask him what he meant by that. I was like, I know what a vice is when it comes to like working on a ranch, but and then like in the hardware store, but not by what you mean. So tell us what vice means.
So a vice would essentially be not necessarily an addiction, but something that's an escape. Something that is
a crutch?
Kind of a crutch, kind of like a bad habit, I guess. It's a bad habit. Your vice is a bad habit.
Addicted to a bad habit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's more of a habit. It's more something you like. Like you can have a vice, even like chocolate cake.
It holds you down.
It just...
That's what a vice does.
Something you crave that might not be the best thing for you. So
sugar, bread, cheese.
Those can be vices.
All those things we love to overindulge in.
Yes. Same with television, or like we talked about in a previous episode, working out too much.
Or video games.
Alcohol.
Yeah. All the above.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about how I don't think vices are usually a bad thing, and how to notice when they are a bad thing, it should be given up. Because I think there are some times where a vice should not be given up.
This is a disclaimer. Mm-hmm. This is also coming from someone who has ADHD, addiction to dopamine, as well as the need for more dopamine, chemistry-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just disclaimer there, so that we understand where our biases come from.
Okay.
As I am familiar, or as I know, I do not have ADHD. I feel like I have the opposite.
You're like, I'm just too focused.
It's not necessarily focused. It's the dopamine piece of it, right?
Just kidding.
So it's like, I have plenty enough of dopamine to get me through the day or week or month, right?
Yeah. That must be nice.
I feel like I do this. Everyone always says I'm a cheery person, which I agree with.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not seeking a lot of those vices, but of course I have my own traumas that I try to cope with. And so I have my own, I guess you could say, addictions or cop-outs. Cop-outs or something you use.
Would you say
escapisms.
Would you say you have bad habits?
Doesn't everyone?
Doesn't everyone.
But I feel like there are some that definitely take over where you'd rather be doing that bad habit versus actually working or living your life. Right. So you'd rather dive into that. So vices we were talking about earlier being alcohol, drugs being the bigger ones that we hear about, but maybe some other ones being video games or working out too much or maybe foods or TV. That's a great one.
Okay.
That's actually probably the easiest to fall into, I feel like, would be television. Yeah.
The reason I wanted to talk about alcohol, because I think there's a lot of things about it that are good, where I think it often gets a bad rap. And especially so many of us in the millennial age, it's like a joke that we're all alcoholics.
I think every generation has said that, though.
Probably true. I think a lot of us at our age, definitely, we love our beer. We love our wine.
We definitely spearheaded the fuel of microbrews.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's for sure. Like, we're from Colorado,
yeah,
which is, in essence, the capital of microbrews, per capita at least.
Yeah.
So we can really relate to that.
Yeah, and that one, it's like, I just love our beer. I personally don't like beer at all, and I'm like the weird one.
And here I am,
all of my friends.
Beer from Thrive Workplace in Centennial, Colorado.
Because it's on tap all the
sponsored,
time here.
Not sponsored.
Hashtag
hey,
Colorado things. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Let's talk about when we should give up a vice first, and then when we should keep it.
Well, I think in our last episode, you talked a lot about how you're getting rid of alcohol for a whole year, which you did, except for when you're traveling, as you said, when we were in Mexico.
Yeah, I didn't do a great job since we've been back.
Okay, so the reason behind your idea of at least reducing or getting rid of alcohol in your daily life was so that you become more productive again, because it was really inhibiting you from your productivity.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, if something really comes in and is really push and pulling with a goal that you have, like building your travel side of your business, or for others, it's having a healthier body or a healthier mind, or even
a relationship.
Have a relationship. Like if you play video games all day, 8 hours a day and you're not getting paid for it, getting a relationship is going to be very interesting and in a lot of ways difficult.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're not dating another gamer, right? So it's just when vices become not only detrimental to your health, to your relationships, and to your job/business, that's really when you should be looking at them. But Absolutely. I also feel like, what are you leaning on? What are you crutching on is really important too, because vices can be people as well.
Very true.
It can be a relationship, codependency, hello. Yeah. It can be parents. It can be kids. That's a big one.
Yeah.
It can be lots of relationships. So I feel like vices don't just take something you consume or do. It's who are you also involved with.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really good point, because not necessarily just a person, but also a relationship dynamic. Like, whether are you dependent on someone who
or is codependent with
be the leader? Yeah. Or is it like, do you, because like one thing I personally don't, back when we could go to movies, I wouldn't go to a movie alone, right? I don't really go out to eat by myself and just sit there. So I am dependent on having someone else with me to do certain things.
That's more of a social aspect.
Yeah, but I think it's that dynamic of having, it's a vice that I need someone to do something with.
To treat yourself with something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's a great point.
I'll give another quick example too. So I have another colleague, I guess. So we rent out a place together, and she didn't use it because she felt that she didn't have enough introduction or the right to be there, even though she was paying for it, had a contract, had a key. She didn't go there when we were out of town because it was like she just needed me to be there.
Oh.
And that's a pattern that she has, I've seen. She needs someone else for that approval for something.
Right.
So a need for approval, I think, would be.
I think it's really just giving yourself permission to do something.
Yeah.
And you have to have someone there to do it, like the eating out in the movie. I think that's a great example, because I think that we're conditioned to have that vice that you don't do those things unless you're in some sort of social aspect.
Right.
But I gave that up a long time ago, and I went to see movies all by myself. Actually, that was a vice for me in one way, because I was escaping the roofing industry.
Oh, yeah.
I would be like, I'm literally getting out of my head and just immersing myself into a movie. And I was like $5 Tuesdays or whatever.
Okay.
So I go in the afternoon, and I legit would watch the same movie 3 days in a row.
Wow.
Okay. Good movies, though. I wouldn't just go watch whatever movie. It was always good movies. That's how I fell in love with Strange Magic, actually, an animated movie.
I would say that counts very much as a vice.
Because it's a way to escape.
Yeah, because you're not doing it out of like an intentional something your pleasure like seeking. You're not just like, I really want to do this. You were just like,
oh, I really wanted to do it. But I used it to cover something I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So there is a difference in that way.
Yeah.
So vices can be really anything, but I feel like there's popular ones, like the alcohol, food, drugs. Those are definitely ones that can harm you detrimentally with your health and your relationships. But I think there are definitely subtle ones, especially relationships, that we could touch on. But also activities that you think are healthy, right? We've touched base on that with working out for 3 hours a day. If you're not literally competing, or if you're not going into some sort of like a Spartan race or a ninja competition or something, why are you working out 3 hours a day? It's literally to escape rather than deal with what your shit is.
Right. Yeah. The key here to identify a vice is to see, am I using it as a form of escapism? Am I using it as a form of coping? And is it something that I'm dependent on to do something?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's this question of, are you aware that's a vice? And I think television is a perfect example for that.
Yeah.
Because they catch you with hooks, right, to go and watch the new episode. And that's great for marketing. That's great for long-term plan and storytelling. But as a consumer, how many TV shows are you watching at once?
I'll lump social media into that too.
Yeah, I think that's a great one as well. Is this person going to be posting today? Like, especially see that on TikTok is a big one. I see that with me. I'm like, did Iron Sanctuary post anything today?
That's so funny.
You know, it's really stupid, but I like him, so it's fun.
But he's a great TikTok guy.
He's a great person and great to follow.
Iron Sanctuary.
Sponsored, not sponsored. Would love to be sponsored. Actually, love to have.
I'd like to interview him. Yeah. The other thing with, especially social media, it's I will catch myself. I intentionally. I want to go look at one thing. I need to check something. I need to see because events are on there, so I need to see an event time, or I need to see some detail, or I'm curious about something, and then it's 2 hours later because I've been mindlessly just scrolling, and I didn't even realize. I'm like, what happened? How did I get sucked into endlessly scrolling? Same with TikTok. It's like, okay, I want to see if Iron Sanctuary posted. How is it suddenly 3 a.m?
I did that yesterday, but I was aware I was doing it because yesterday was I literally just took a sloth day. Yeah. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm literally not leaving my house. I'm not even going to turn on my computer and do work. Like it was legit just do your workouts, eat pretty good, and do whatever else you want. And I just watched television and TikToks. I literally was on TikTok for 4 hours yesterday. 4 hours. But if you think about it, it's only 4 episodes of some TV show, right?
Right.
So, yeah, social media, because it's entertaining. It's that addictive storytelling. It's that addictive social aspect, right? Yeah, it's totally the dopamine. You know, at the end of the day, I was like, I totally did all that, but I intentionally knew I was going into it.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those,
you set the day aside for it.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh my God, Jeopardy's on. Like, we have to watch it every day at, 6 o'clock or whatever it is.
Right.
I literally know people that do that.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're conditioned to have these vices when we're little, especially television, because it's so easy. Right? You're not having to read and have an imagination. The imagination is literally given to you.
Yeah.
Right? So you're literally given the visuals. It can be mindless, even with subtitles if you're deaf, right? Unless you're blind, I mean, you could listen to it, right? So it's so easy for a large population to get into. It becomes such an easy vice. And yeah, we're totally conditioning kids, especially now. We're already conditioning kids to be on their devices.
All of the time.
You know, and
there's an early age.
And I'm not saying to not give your kids devices because it's actually relevant to their future, but conditioning them to have vices, that's where it becomes a problem.
Yeah. And I would actually argue at this point, I think it's more detrimental to a child to not give them technology at an early age.
Yeah.
Because everything is there now.
Yeah. I think Gary Vee kind of really makes that point.
Does he? Yeah.
He does. He's like, you're punishing your kids for doing video games, being on social media, being on the computer, but this is literally their world in the future. And in generational dynamics, we talk a lot about Generation Alpha or even Gen Z, younger Gen Z per se. But this is a generation that literally wasn't born without having an iPad or an iPhone in their hand, right? So they've always been used to the internet being in existence. So it's literally a piece of their identity and how they associate with the world. You take that away, you're literally taking away how they see the world.
Yeah.
And so it's really cultivating a way of how you can have a healthy understanding, I like to say, and insight into what is and what isn't.
Yeah.
Right? So online is part of your identity, is part of the world, but it is also not the best way to always connect with a human. But I think it's a vice that we're conditioned into is the overconsumption of it.
Right.
So it's like you have a parent or even a boss or a workplace, you know, in the beginning of cell phones, they're like, you can't have your cell phone on you at work. Now it's like, fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right.
Totally fine.
Or it's like,
just don't look at it when you're working with a customer, right? That's the only thing. But soon now your customers are online.
Absolutely.
So
and half of our job is now just on our phone, and we have to set appointments, look up stuff, do things here.
You go to Home Depot, they're literally looking at an iPhone to find inventory, right? It's part of the job now.
Yeah.
And so
it's so neat.
Right. But again, creating, but also that enforces vices. How do we know, especially in a work or a business model, how do we know we need to get rid of certain vices?
Yeah. So good question. So I think it was another TikTok or something I saw online. One person's father, she was like, what's a weird thing that happened to you as a child that you don't think happened to anyone else as a child? So this girl would never get in trouble. Her father would never yell at her. So if she did something bad, he would sit her down, just ask her a bunch of questions. Like, why did you do that? What were you feeling when you did that? What is it that led up to you doing this? And they would talk about it, and then he would make her sit there and just write out all of her thoughts. And what she said, she was like, it really helped me to figure out the cause behind my actions.
Oh my gosh, that's huge.
And I've never heard of anything like that before.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because we don't think about why we do stuff.
Oh yeah. So it was interesting because it was like maybe 10 years ago. My mom actually was like, I want to apologize to you. And I was like, why? But I thought I was in trouble because it's always like we're having a hard moment. What did I do? No, she was like, I want to apologize because I did not help you navigate your emotions when you're a kid.
Wow.
Like, are you angry? How do you feel? Those kinds of questions that this dad is asking this kid, right? I didn't have any of that. Most kids don't actually. So there was like, as to your point, you didn't experience any of that, right?
Yeah.
So you have these parents that are just kind of like, no, be quiet.
Right.
You'll be fine. Stop crying. Right.
Yeah, because I said so.
Because I said so, or because we're in public, or because I don't want to deal with it. Right. Instead of sitting down and help navigating where is this feeling coming from.
Yeah.
Right. You're seeing more of that today, I feel like, online, but
absolutely.
But it's definitely not popularized yet. So she apologized to me because she realized that she did not help me identify or navigate my emotions in order so that I could identify them. Okay. So this is why I was like so angry through high school, but I had no idea what I was actually feeling. Right. So now here we are in our 30s and we're like,
I get it.
Now that's what that feeling is.
Hashtag trauma.
Right? We didn't have the magnet on the fridge that had how are you feeling? And it had like all the different faces for like all the different emotions and being able to point to it. Right. Like that's a changer right there. And I feel like now with all these vices that we have in our life, maybe I need to get one for my fridge. So I can be like, I feel like this today, which means that this is a vice that I'm about to engage in versus something that helps me actually move through this so that I can continue on with my goals.
Yeah. So that's perfectly said. So to find it, is it a vice? Is this action that I'm doing that I enjoy doing? Is it because I enjoy it or am I being dependent? So how am I feeling? Am I doing this in a reactive way? And is it helping me to get somewhere? Right.